Yeah, my first time. It's really nice. Well, the boys have been here for 2 days. I flew in from London this morning, so I've only been here since this morning. But everyone's been very helpful, and everything's very cheap, and the weather's very nice.
Weather is nice. It's
cold.
Freezing.
It's cold, but it's it's dry and it's sunny. So.
Yeah.
We started in like 2003, so I would have been 14. Same lineup, so we've been together for 10 years really. We just started. I mean, music is kind of everything to me without being pretentious. Like I grew up just doing music. That's all I've ever really known. So the idea of starting a band was kind of obvious for me anyway. And I used to play like in a kind of a kids band with my best friends when I lived in the north of England.
Yeah.
When I was about 10, I moved to Manchester, and I went to a private school, like a really rich kind of boarding, a nice school. But I got kicked out pretty quickly, and so I went to just the normal high school in the town, and that's where I met those guys. So we were like 14, and all these this woman had started putting on like shows in the town because it was like a middle class, boring town.
Yeah.
So she started taking places where old people would go and play bingo and cards and stuff like that. She would rent them out for a night, and kids could go and take their bands there and play like one another. Yeah. And it became like a scene. It became like a punk scene for us. It was real, like, and everybody was really drunk, and it was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and it was fucking cool.
Yeah.
So it kind of really inspired us. And by that time we were like 15, and we were like, well, let's just do this. And then because the idea of making music, not for what it does, like fans or women or anything, just for making music and the pursuit of making good music.
For yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We just got so into that, being from a middle class area, working small jobs, not having really poor families, and not needing to get out of anywhere. We just made music, and then every record label heard about us in our different names, and they came to try and sign us, and they didn't want to, and we got turned down by every single major record label pretty much. And then we just thought, fuck it, let's just do it ourselves. To say that we never used to really talk about the album or anything. It was always a bit of a dream about us, We imagined that because by the time we were 21, 22, we'd been in the band for like 8 years, but we'd never put any music out. So it almost became like a bit of a joke, We almost didn't want to put music out because it would have been uncool or something.
Yeah.
But because once it's out there forever.
Of course.
And people don't remember that, and that's a lot of bands suffer with that. But our manager and us, we just got tired. We had a manager for 7 years, and he's like our 5th member of our band, and he's stuck with us through everything. And we were just bored of people promising us, making us promises and breaking them, and just full of shit. And at that time, it was happening with 2 artists. I am answering your question. It's just a long.
Yes, of course. Take your time.
Yeah, of course. Because I might as well explain it probably. Because Jamie was basically, he had 2 artists who he knew were great artists, which was us and an artist called Benjamin Francis Leftwich, who in the UK is quite popular. And these labels just wouldn't sign either of us. So he thought, well, no, I'll start my own label. Started his own label, signed us, signed Ben, and now it's one of the hottest indie record labels around. And it's because what the people in the record industry don't understand is that A&Ring records and looking after a band is not about throwing logs at their feet and make, you know what I mean when I say that? And it's not about harbouring something, trying to make it exactly, basically. But what I mean is, we've always been surrounded by people whose priority, whose mantra, was focused around facilitating what we wanted. Because that's how you grow as a band. You learn from your own mistakes, and you have to. And we were lucky that we had 7 years behind the scenes to grow up and get it wrong and fuck up and be shit and that kind of thing. But by that time, we just thought, well, we've got enough songs for an album, big songs that we know would go on an album. Let's take one and then write an EP around it.
Yeah.
And that was Face Down. And we thought, well, that worked. So we took another one, Sex. And instead of releasing singles, we released EPs because we knew that we weren't going to get hyped because we didn't have a major label. We knew that we weren't going to get that much buzz. We had to create it for ourselves. And the way that we did it was giving people a wealth of material to really, really get into before you drop the debut album. And we did that with 4 EPs. And well, do you mean the actual process of making the album?
Yeah.
We started it in kind of autumn of 2012 and finished it in like spring. I can't really remember like months and stuff, but I think we went in October to start it. And the thing is with the recording process is that all of those songs were totally written.
Yeah.
I'm very much a firm believer that if you want to make a real statement about something in regards to a recording, then you need to respect the recording process, because literally just recording something perfectly is something that needs to be really taken care of. And I don't like the idea of a lot of the time recording songs and writing them at the same time, because you don't let them breathe and have an understanding. So the recording process where we made the album, we were on it. All the songs were written, we knew that kind of thing, which is different to the EPs. Because the EPs, we wrote and recorded them in 1 week each.
Yeah.
So we just would sit there and write, and we knew that's what they were supposed to be, whereas the album was a very, very clear depiction of our teenage years, you know. So I struggle all the time. I really struggle. I always have done. Yeah. Because I'm not really, I never really asked that question. I normally say, is there any references that you can give me? But to say what something sounds like is to say what something...
It's hard.
Yeah, it's like, imagine explaining what seeing red is like to somebody who's never seen the colour red, you know? That's a really pretentious thing to say. But what I mean is like, I don't know, we're a contemporary pop band with elements of R&B and 80s pop and shoegaze and almost Scandinavian ambient music. There's so much going on. Well, my idol was always kind of Michael Jackson, in a very grandeur sense. I was one of those hardcore Michael Jackson fans, and I think that everything about him, the way that he did things, the way that his music worked as a formula, that has informed me so much. But mate, I've been totally consumed by music. I mean, you know, like Brian Eno, My Bloody Valentine, you know, like Boards of Canada, and just thousands of bands I grew up listening to. It was just getting really upset, just feeling really, really beat up by the music industry, because the problem that we had is that we always knew that we were right. And it's like when you're arguing with somebody who just won't listen and you want to shake them, and it's so frustrating and you're not getting anywhere. And it felt like we were just being told that we weren't good enough. We were being told that we didn't know who we wanted to be. And not to our faces as well. They would say everything to us, but then you'd hear, oh, well, they're not making the offer because they sent this email to such and such saying, and it's such a horrible world full of people that don't really get it. They don't quite get it. Listen, there's a lot of great people in the music industry, but it was hard, you know. Because this isn't what I do. This is like what I am.
Of course.
And it's like the rule in like comedy. You can always joke about something that someone does, but when you start joking about what they are, that's going to hurt them. And it's the same with my band, you know. I took it really fucking personally, and I was really upset about it. I really didn't like it. I didn't like someone coming and telling me that I wasn't good enough.
Of course, no one would like it.
No one would, exactly. But even more amplified in this, because I'm so... Well, it's been our first time in Scandinavia, first time in a lot of places, our first time playing in Paris, and you know what, that was amazing. We spent 6 weeks in America, touring America, and we've done a lot of incredible shows, like really, really victorious shows in Los Angeles and New York City, and 2 nights here and 2 nights there and that kind of thing. And we got so used to being in America, as you do when you get comfortable anyway, you know, it's very Americanized. We almost felt slightly disconnected from what it's like in Europe, even though we spent so much time. And we arrived in Paris, obviously the centre of Europe, and we played this tiny little club show, and it was so exciting. And it was in the middle. It was that was after a 6-week tour. We hadn't had a day off. We'd just flown straight to Paris. You should be exhausted, but there was such a vibrancy in that room, such a homecoming feeling, that I had such a wonderful time. And then we went straight to Amsterdam, and then had our first time in Scandinavia, in Denmark, in Sweden, in Oslo. It's just so beautiful and such a rewarding feeling, because when you stay somewhere, you think, oh, well, this is where we exist. But now we're getting the perfect movement of kind of weeks and weeks of just slowly trotting around the world, and it's quite amazing that we've managed to fucking play a sold-out show in every single country. Amazing. I don't know anymore, because you know, we've supported the Rolling Stones, we supported Muse, we've played every single country we've ever played in. Is being sold out. We had a #1 album. We've released 5 records, and that's in 8 months. You know, so you think that all of those things will change you as a person or make you more happy, and they don't. They just exist, and they're really interesting and flattering and that kind of thing. So I would be silly to try and. I'm really trying to figure out what I want. All I know is that we're on tour now until December 2014. All right, here we go.
That's kind of interesting.
I've got 2 people to listen to the conversation of. So I don't know whether I would go poetic or whether I would go, because you could say Plato and Socrates, or Da Vinci and Socrates, you know, but I think their points of reference would be so far removed. You don't know whether they would actually be able to have a conversation because their points of reference would be so minimal. But you know, I'd have to go for Christopher Hitchens and I want to say Jesus Christ.
That's interesting.
That's whether he exists or not. But I think what I'd like to see is a real debate between a firm atheist and somebody who was present at the time of where religious scriptures are meant to have happened. I think the presence of a Jesus Christ would probably negate the conversation, because we'd have to just go, alright, okay, fair enough. You win. If he walked in, there would be no conversation. I'd like to see that moment. So possibly, or a genuine Messiah, like the Messiah and Christopher Hitchens.
That's a really answer, I think. Okay, thank you very much.